Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about Dragon Ball stuff again. My name's Matthew Conlon, and thanks to a video by MasakoX, I had an idea for the direction a Broly Cheelai spinoff could go. I've been designing villains and a criminal organization that would be interested in Vampa because of Frieza's no contact order. This is Villain 2, which is being posted third in order, technically fourth, mostly just because I wasn't really satisfied with my initial designs. In a second, you're going to see some coloring of the design I finally settled on. This villain's name is Gerania. She is a plant-based monster. I had an idea about 2/3 of the way through where she is the product of the same technology that Saiba-men were created from, so we'll get to see a reintroduction of them. I had another idea a little bit later on where maybe the different Saiba-men that she produces are more advanced, since this is way farther down in the timeline, but I didn't really have an opportunity to develop that, and I wanted to get something up today, so we're just going to stick with what I got. So here is Gerania. So here's Gerania. If you were a fan of Darkwing Duck, then you probably recognize a similarity to Bushroot. I had an idea later that, like Audrey too, she'd sort of talk out of that big plant on her right shoulder. And I thought that would be fun. Alright, so our story's picking up pretty much immediately after Zol Gorgon, the first villain, does his heel face turn. So he's hanging out on Vampa, he's talking with the gang, Broly, Cheelai, and Lemo. He's pretty confident that Boss Cheelai, our rat-faced crime boss, is going to send other irregulars to investigate since he hasn't reported back. Gerania will be the next. Now, Zol Gorgon got pretty busted up, so he's pretty much fresh out of his healing pod. Lemo and Cheelai are still there for exposition, moral support, and comedy. Gerania arrives on island, pretty much immediately tracks down the group and starts her assault. It might look like this. So here we got Broly. He's hanging out. There's Gerania on the right, a couple of Saiba-men. You can see hastily drawn Lemo and Cheelai. Broly's doing his best to sort of protect them. So as you can see, she pretty much immediately deploys a bunch of Saiba-men. Broly is being overwhelmed by numbers. He's worried about losing control again, so he's trying to tamp down that power level. And then this happens. So I think it would be cool if this was actually one of those advanced Saiba-men types, and you know, it can hang out in the ground and deploy viney cages to hamper the fighters or take hostages. And that's pretty much what's happening right here. Actually, there's something I want to get into before we continue with that part of the story. I had an idea about midway through where Gerania's Saiba-men are damaged. Like, Broly's not going to have problems with Saiba-men. So he ends up kind of butchering a few of them, and she reveals a thing where some type of substance that she can exude has restorative properties. Maybe it's tertiarily related to Senzu beans. Maybe Frieza, the Frieza Force investigated them after the role they played in Frieza's defeat. Who knows? But suffice to say that her substances have certain restorative properties, and that will factor in a little bit later. So then this is happening. So Broly sees Lemo and Cheelai get taken prisoner. He starts to experience that fear, and then that rapidly turns into anger. That's a pretty key component for Gerania. So Gerania was waiting for him to get angry. As soon as he does, she's ecstatic and then starts spewing this cloud of stuff all over the place, which is going to negatively affect him when it combines with those angry chemicals in his brain. Very soft science. So Broly breathes in these chemicals and he's like, "What did you do to me?" And Gerania is just giving her best mock Frieza laugh, fading into the mist, asking him, what are you even fighting to protect? From there, Broly's memories start to fade. He forgets Goku, he starts to forget Cheelai and Lemmo, and even his dog Rabbit. And then he just starts to go into that Ozaru form. And this is where her restorative properties, Gerania's restorative properties, start to come into play, because he starts to grow the way an Ozaru would. From there, he does his whole green aura thing, that exploding megaton smasher move, whatever it's called, putting the lives of his friends in danger. Again. Now, due to Gerania's restorative properties, Broly's body is able to make more of those Ozaru hormones. Not enough to completely transform, but he does get way bigger, and you can see he's got this sort of 80s metal hair mop. His aura is starting to tighten up, and he's less wild and more like an apex predator that is just going to move things out of its way. We see in the back Zol Gorgon comes in to try and keep him from destroying his friends. We can see he's starting to grow a little fur on the backs of his hands, and really just beating the tar out of Zol Gorgon. His new Tartar ally takes up pounding and says something like, if your brain can't remember your friends, I'll beat their memory into your body. While that's going on, Lemmo and Cheelai have an argument about using some sort of shock collar analog. And Zol Gorgon gets his face beaten in. Meanwhile, Gerania just decides to bug out. She's like, I'll just tell him it's a scorched earth operation. And then she's like, let's go, Saiba-chans. And that's it. Gerania does not stick around to deal with the fallout. She cuts loose, takes off with her remaining Saiba-men, and leaves Broly, Lemmo, and Cheelai and Zol Gorgon to deal with the fallout. We'll see how reporting on Zol Gorgon's betrayal goes for him later. The idea is the fight with Zol Gorgon does end up triggering Broly's memories as he goes through that sort of like kinesthetic learning experience again, where he just learns by doing. And that's the resolution to that. But then he's totally busted up that he just beat the tar out of his new Tartar friend, and that he threatened Lemmo and Cheelai, who, felt like it was a bad enough situation that they had to try and bring out a shock collar analog again. And that's where we pause. As a sort of epilogue to this, Lemmo and Cheelai decide that they're going to start training with Zol Gorgon so that they're not fodder for scrubs like Saiba-men at the very least. And if you watched my Villain 3 video, you know that they learn how to tap into that power a little bit like classically trained martial artists in Dragon Ball can, and they end up using that to foil the hyper energy senses of Matthew, the hired gun grasshopper, in the next segment. After this, I'll try and do the sort of climax to this arc where Janemba shows up and something happens that helps Broly either get control of his power or some of it's taken away by Janemba. I don't know what's going to happen there. Once I have it detailed out, I'll figure it out. I just know I want to see Janemba show up, roll in wearing an Ozaru pelt cape, because that would be super intimidating, I think, to everybody except Broly. Thanks so much for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you know when more of these videos are up, or my D&D reviewing of my own stuff. I don't really review it, I more like just pitch it and walk you through how it works. I'm also gonna do an intro segment for just some of the most basic rules of D&D so that I can help out a couple of my friends that are interested in getting started. And that's what I got going on in the future. Thanks so much for your time. Stay safe and have a great day, and I'll see you back here next time.